Well, welcome to the New Health Conversation. And today we're going to be discussing why diets are failing us. So, this is the main topic of this podcast today: is why diets are failing us. This is not a recording. This is live. It's not a podcast. It's not an infomercial. It's a podcast. And our goal here at the New Health Conversation, I'm going to put it up there for our library where you can go and see all the medical evidence. The New Health Conversation. And you'll see the medical evidence that we're going to talk about today, because we're only going to show you peer-reviewed human trial studies. We are not going to give you any opinions. Opinions don't mean a thing. They shouldn't mean a thing to any of you. So we're very excited to be able to share this knowledge with you today. As you can all see, the subject we're going to be talking about today is why diets are failing us. And we're going to show you medical proof, not opinions, of why, for example, Harvard Medical School is now saying stop counting calories. Don Marco, the program itself, it depends on what you want to do. It's not a diet, okay? It has nothing to do with dieting. It's way, way more important. It really becomes a lifestyle. I can tell you this. I lost 40 pounds 21 years ago. I've kept it off for 21 years, okay? So I'm going to come on for just a moment to introduce myself. My name is Peter Greenlaw. I started the New Health Conversation movement. I've written 4 best-selling books. I've done 20 shows on PBS and lectured over 1,500 times all over the world. I've been a nutritional researcher for 21 years. And what's so apparent to all of us in research now, that everything we were told before about lowering calories in particular goes out the window. So again, the main theme we're going to talk about today is why diets are failing us, and why, for example, counting calories to lose weight with traditional food is one of the most unhealthy things you could ever do to yourself, for yourself, whatever. And we will show you actual peer-reviewed human trials. We're not going to just talk about it. We physically have them right here. We're going to read from all the medical trials. There's no reason to give you an opinion. But we know now that 80% of Americans are overweight and 50% of those people are obese. And if you're really, really interested in losing weight, then you could really, really benefit from going to essentially, it's an educational site. You can go there and everything, there's nothing for us to sell you there, et cetera. But if you like what you see, you can sign up for a free consultation, and we'll teach you exactly, we'll show you exactly what did they do in these 7 new peer-reviewed studies, which actually the people in the studies, they consume more calories than people on any diet. And listen to this. Men and women with no exercise allowed by the researchers lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet you've ever been on. Most women lose a whole dress size just in the first 7 days. So it's really important that we at least give you an option. But if you think that diets work in the long run, I would ask you to investigate this. If 80% of Americans are overweight, and 50% are obese, and 50% of Americans are pre-diabetic, do you really think that diets are working for us in the long run? Because they're obviously not. So all of you have an incredible opportunity, if you want, to find out why diets are failing us and why lowering calories to lose weight is actually one of the most unhealthy things you could ever do. I'm sorry to tell you that, because I know that everything you're seeing on social media now is based on one principle, and that principle is the only way to lose weight is to lower calories. If that was the case, then why are diets failing us so miserably? I mean, you can't tell me if 80% of America is overweight and 50% of those people are obese, that does anybody really think that diets are working? Because they're not working. The whole point is that there's now new medical evidence. I have it right here in my hand. 7 new peer-reviewed studies. Not only did people they lost as much weight in 30 days as 12 weeks of any of the major diets you've ever heard of. And instead of, see, what's unhealthy on a diet is when they say don't lose weight too fast, because you lose lean muscle mass. When you lose lean muscle mass, it does 2 really bad things. One, it slows down your metabolism. You can't burn as many calories. You come off the diet, you gain everything back. That's not the worst part. The worst part is when you lose lean muscle mass, your body also basically inhibits the maximum function of your immune system, okay? And that's really what's going on. Every diet out there, I have the medical proof that up to 40% of what you're losing to fit into your skinny jeans is your lean muscle mass. And when you lose that lean muscle mass, it's so unbelievably unhealthy for you. So again, Don Marco, I'm not trying to be evasive, honestly, because we don't know if you want to gain weight, do you lose weight, are you on any medications, how old are you, do you work out? There's so many variables. Unlike just the simple solutions. This is not some lotion, potion, pill, supplement. It's a complete new, different way of, number one, consuming food with two new principles. One is called protein pacing, and the other was called intermittent nutritional fasting. Not fasting, not time-restricted eating, completely different. So again, some of the people that are just coming on or just perusing the website, this is what we're talking about. Why diets are failing us. Do you really believe that any diet out there on some form of lowering calories is working when 80% of Americans are overweight and 50% are obese and 50% of Americans are pre-diabetic? The sad truth is that nothing is working. I mean, you can't possibly think that if you have 80% of America overweight, does anybody really think that diets are working? Because they're not. I mean, it's just unfortunately, that's a given fact. So I want to just give you just some highlighted points here. Let's start with the first article. It says you shouldn't count calories, okay? I'm holding it here so you don't think I'm making it up. What did they say in this report? Truth is, calorie counting is a terrible approach for weight loss. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. They go on to say, what's even worse is 2/3 of people who try to count or restrict their calories will gain back more weight than they lost. Did you hear what they just said? And again, I don't want you to just believe one study. Now let's go to the New England. This is Harvard Medical School. Here's what they're saying. The title is Stop Counting Calories. They said the idea of a calorie in and a calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist at Harvard Medical School. She goes on to say, drop the calories notion, says Stanford. It's time to take a different approach by emphasizing what's in the calorie, not how many calories you're consuming. Therein lies your dilemma. Now, let's go one step farther. Let's go and look at two huge studies done in the New England Journal of Medicine. Again, I'm holding it so you can see it, so you don't think I'm making it up. In this study, it was 12 months long. They looked at people lowering calories, so calories in, calories out, compared 12 months to time-restricted eating, which is a big buzzword now. You don't eat for 16 hours and you eat for 8. What was the outcome? I'm reading from the report, so I'm not giving you a claim, right? The mean weight loss from baseline at 12 months was 16 pounds in a year for people lowering calories. And the other group that was doing time-restricted eating lost 12.6 pounds in a year. And among patients with obesity, a regimen of time-restricted eating was not more beneficial with regard to reduction in body weight, body fat, or metabolic risk than calorie restriction. But actually it was, because here was the thing that they found. Both the time-restricted eating and daily caloric restriction diets led to the loss of lean muscle mass. There's your Achilles heel to any diet out there. I don't care what the diet is. All the evidence is clear that the main thing you're losing on any diet is your lean muscle, up to 40%. So say you lost 20 pounds, 8 pounds is lean muscle. Well, maybe you don't think that's a big deal, but the experts say that for every pound of lean muscle you lose, it takes you about 12 months, even if you go to the gym, even if you're healthy, to gain it back. So we're going on these diets, we're losing the weight, we're gaining it all back. Then we go on the next diet, we lose it and back. But most people, and I go to the gym, I have a trainer a couple days a week. I'm not against exercise, of course. And I see these, people day after day, the treadmill, whatever. They don't lose an ounce. They don't lose anything. Because again, the whole concept is this. A human body doesn't even know what a calorie is. Why are we counting calories? Because someone told us to count calories. So again, for some of the new people, this is what we're discussing. Why diets are failing us, because they are. It's not up for debate. And with all due respect, all these influencers are coming on and telling you the only way to lose weight is now they're giving you an app. You can figure out how to get into a calorie deficit. Worst thing you could ever do. Maybe you don't like what I'm telling you, but the medical evidence is backing me up, not an opinion. Everything I'm talking about is in peer-reviewed human trial studies. Let's look at another big study that was done on low carbohydrate diets, which we all were convinced was the way to go at one point. This is in this medical journal, Nutrients. What do they say about low carbohydrate diets? Exposure to low carbohydrate diets is associated with reductions in muscle mass and increased osteoporosis risk in obese individuals. But they go on to say, this is crazy. They go on, reduced muscle mass is an established risk factor for osteoporosis and has been associated with functional impairment in obese individuals. Who's telling you this? Who's telling you that when you're going on a diet, you're losing lean muscle mass, it's leading to an increased risk of osteoporosis? Are you seeing influencers tell you that? And I don't fault them. And there's medical doctors on here, there's chiropractors, there's dietitians, there's nutritionists, but they're like running around in circles. I mean, they don't have to worry about patients or customers because 80% of America's overweight and 50% are obese. And it's getting worse. In 2018, 42% of America was obese. 6 years later, in 2024, it's 50%. That's almost a 24% increase in 6 years. So I'm not going to talk you out of it. We're not here to talk you out of any diets. Do whatever diet you want. But if you believe in science instead of opinions, then maybe you want to pay attention to us. And the other thing, you can see it up there. There's the research site, the New Health Conversation. Here's the cool news. You can go there. We will not contact you. No way will we contact you. You'll get to see the medical proof, first on traditional diets, and then these new studies, which are almost like science fiction. Men and women were not even allowed to exercise, and yet they lost no audio? What? How could there be no? Well, that's not very good. No wonder people are not excited. Did I forget? No, it has to be. Hello, hello, hello? There's no audio? Really? Huh. So nobody can hear me. You can't hear me. Okay. That's really interesting. Huh. All right, let me see if I can switch up here. Okay, can you hear me now? Hello? Can't hear anything. Oh my goodness. Let's just see. How about now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hello? Hello, hello? Let's try this. Hello? Can you hear me now? Are you able to hear me? No, you can't hear anything? Man, oh man, that is way beyond not good. Let's see. Huh. So, I don't know why. Hello, hello? You can't hear me? Huh. See, microphone. Let's just see. Okay, can you hear me now? Hello? Can you hear me now? Please let me know if you can hear me now. Hello? Hello, hello, hello? Can you hear me now? You can hear me now? Okay, great. Wow, I don't know, that's really weird. I'm not exactly sure what happened. So everything I've been saying, no one can even hear me. But what I was getting across was this whole point about why diets are failing us, and I was trying to show everyone the real downside of all diets. We have a research site you can go to if you want to. I'm going to put it in there for you, the New Health Conversation. Okay, hold on. And it's the only thing that's there is the medical proof. So what we were talking about, as long as you can hear me now, is the medical studies on traditional diets where lowering, counting calories has now been really obsolete. First of all, let's start at Harvard Medical School, okay? They said, stop counting calories in this article. And what they said was, the idea of a calorie in and a calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist at Harvard Medical School. They go on to say, drop the calories notion, says Stanford. It's time to take a different approach, putting the emphasis on what's in the calorie, not how many calories we're consuming. So hopefully everybody can hear me now, okay? Now let me read from another article. This one's titled, Why You Shouldn't Count Calories, okay? What did they say here? Truth is, calorie counting is a terrible approach for weight loss. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach, listen to this, has never been proven to keep weight off long term. The latest, then they said, what's even worse is 2/3 of people who try to count or restrict their calories will gain back more weight than they lost. That's what you're up against, okay? So again, this is what we're talking about, why diets are failing us, okay? And I understand, and I apologize to some of the people that were on. The audio wasn't working, so obviously I couldn't expect you to stay on but this is what we're talking about for any of the new people that are looking at this, why diets are failing us. And it's really important that you understand that there's now medical proof, the fact that going on a diet by lowering calories with traditional approach is one of the most unhealthy things you could ever do. Why? Because the human body doesn't even know what a calorie is, but more importantly, the only thing that matters to your body is not calories, but nutrition. And so what we're doing is we lower the quantity of food we're consuming, we're also consuming less nutrition. Now, why is that bad? Because the body doesn't give a hoot about a calorie, it cares about your nutrition. And when you lower the food intake and lower that nutrition, the body freaks out and goes, looks for, no one's telling you this. They're giving you apps now to show you how to cut your calories. It's nonsense, it's just nonsense. 80% of Americans are overweight, 50% are obese, 50% of Americans are pre-diabetic. Does anyone really think that's working? What world are we living in these days? And I don't fall, I'm not going to disparage anybody, but I just saw one on just before I came on. He was showing you can buy this app for your phone that'll tell you how to get in a calorie deficit. What credentials does he have? He didn't hold up any peer-reviewed human trial studies proving that, lowering calories is I just read to you. This is unbelievable. Why you shouldn't count calories. It's not my opinion. It's not Peter Greenlow's opinion. We're giving you the real medical proof. And they're saying, truth is, calorie counting is a terrible approach for weight loss. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. What's even worse, they say, is 2/3 of people who try to count or restrict their calories will gain back more weight than they lost. This is really what's going on. I mean, it backs up 80% of Americans are overweight, 50% are obese, 50% are pre-diabetic. Does anybody think that works? It's nuts. It's crazy. And what are we doing? We keep looking for new diets. Can anyone put in the chat, can you name a diet where it's not some form of lowering calories, counting calories? What would it be? Now, I don't want you just to rely on a couple of articles. I want you to also have the opportunity to see real medical proof. One of the big fads, I call it a fad now out there, is this time-restricted eating, where they tell you don't eat for 16 hours and eat for 8. Well, let's look at two big studies that were just completed on time-restricted eating. So you don't eat for 16 hours, you eat for 8. This is a study done in the Journal of the American Medical Association, one of the top 10 journals in the world. And they did a 3-month study on time-restricted eating. What do you hear what they said? This is not an opinion. I'm giving you facts, okay? This is in the public record. You can go look it up yourself. You don't have to believe me, but listen to this. The Journal of the American Medical Association new research found that overweight adults who were assigned to routinely fast 16 hours daily, eating all their meals between noon and 8 p.m., popularly known as the 16-8 diet, gained almost no benefit from it. And over the course of 3 months, they lost between 2 and 3.5 pounds, but most of the weight they shed was not body fat, but lean muscle mass. There's your Achilles heel to every diet you've ever been on. That's why you hit a plateau. There's this really nice young woman on TikTok. I think she's very courageous. She lost like 60 pounds last year, et cetera, okay? Well, I've been following her for the last couple of months. She can't budge an inch. Why? Because she doesn't understand. And she's still uninformed, unfortunately, that she's been told that the only way to lose weight is to lower calories, which she's done. So she was on today talking about, well, I'm kind of stuck. I had a good weekend. I gained a couple of pounds. And now I'm right back to calorie deficit. No, you're right back to losing your lean muscle mass. And the two of the most unhealthy things happen to us when we lose lean muscle mass. Number one, the body doesn't have a choice. When you lose lean muscle, it has to slow down metabolism. What's metabolism? It's the rate at which you burn calories. But the most important metabolism, believe it or not, is not when you're working out. It's what's called your basal metabolic rate, which is the rate at which you burn calories when you're at rest or sleeping or sitting at your desk. So she can do whatever calorie deficit she wants. The chances of her losing more weight are pretty small. As a matter of fact, the chances of her gaining all the way back, 60, they said 66 and 2/3 of the people, not only did they gain the weight, they weighed more than when they started. But let's not rely just on one study on time-restricted eating. Let's go to the New England, I think you can read that, the New England Journal of Medicine, arguably probably the number 1 or 2 medical journals in the world. They did a 12-month study on calories in, calories out. And one group of people, the second group was time-restricted eating. I'm reading from the study. The mean weight loss from baseline at 12 months for those people lowering calories was 16 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, that's in a year, by the way, okay? And the time-restricted eating group, will you be the judge? They lost 12.6 pounds in a year. But again, here's the Achilles heel. Both the time-restricted eating and daily caloric restriction diets led to the loss of lean muscle mass. Every one of these diets, that's what's going on. Are they telling you that? You think it's you. And you get frustrated. So what do? Well, here's the new diet fad. Here's what, the Kardashians are doing, or here's what, celebrities doing, or here's what an athlete's doing. There's no evidence. There's no medical evidence behind any of that. It's interesting, exciting, I guess. But the real test is go to Walmart, go to Kmart, go to Target, go to the beach. We're in desperate need of a solution. They're saying within 20 years, 100% of America could be overweight. Do you really believe right now, if you're on this podcast, you really think 6 months from now you're gonna weigh less than you do now? Well, Jake, I was just using that as an example because the dilemma, it's everywhere. With 80%, and for all of you, I want to explain something to you. My mother was morbidly obese my whole life. I never knew her thin. I never knew her healthy. The main reason I became a researcher was because of her, because 23 years ago, she called me up one day and she said, Peter, I have one big wish in my life. I said, Mom, what would that be? She said, I would give anything to spend 24 hours thin. I said, well, Mom, that's really cool. Yeah, well, 6 months later, massive heart attack and stroke. My mother did about every diet you could name 23 years ago, from paleo to keto to Mediterranean to Weight Watchers to the grapefruit diet to the cabbage soup diet. She'd cut diets out of the National Enquirer. I'd see her lose 20 pounds, gain 25 back. She'd lose 25, gain 30 back. So this is really personal for me. This isn't some little gimmick kind of thing. I've devoted 21 years of my life to research. I'm called, you can see it there, I'm the researcher of the researchers. Let me be clear. It's not my research. But we created a site, basically a library where you can go and see the medical proof. First, on traditional diets. You be the judge if you think they work or they don't. I think when you see what the real medical proof is, you're going to be pretty shocked. And there, you're going to see these peer-reviewed human trial studies. No joking around. Men and women lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet. They ended up losing as much weight in a month, in 30 days, as, for example, a year. The people in this New England Journal of Medicine study lost 16 pounds in a year. These people lost 16 pounds in a month. But here was the big difference. Instead of these people in the new studies losing lean muscle, they weren't even allowed to exercise. They gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Show me anything else on the planet like that doesn't exist. But that's not the big part of this. What they found was blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides all came down dramatically just in 30 days. So for the new people, this is what we're talking about. Why diets are failing us, okay? That's what we're making available to you. If you want, you can go, you can see. That's where all the medical information is, right there on the site. You can read it. It's free to go there. There's no tricks. If you go there, we won't contact you. We don't need to. We rely on science. We don't rely on a hype. And if you like, here's the other part. If you like what you see, you can then sign up for a free consultation. And I mean free. Not somebody at an 800 number trying to trick you. Not a bait and switch. None of that nonsense. This is something that's real. Okay, so let's say you're not on this podcast. What are you going to do? You're going to do paleo or keto or Mediterranean and listen to these, People that are telling you that, time restricted eating, the only thing you're losing on that is fat. Completely false. It's completely, absolutely false, based on medical proof, not on opinions. I see the people saying that. They look like they're nice people. They're just terribly misinformed. Look, I've had the great privilege to work with some of the greatest minds in medicine, oncology, molecular biology, genetics, nutraceutical chemistry, and nutraceutical research. Everything I'm sharing with you comes from them. It's not mine. I don't give people opinions. You can get opinions if you want. There's plenty of people on social media that'll give you opinions. But what's the value in the opinion? Here's the reality. 80% of America's overweight and 50% are obese. Does anybody really think that diets are working? It's really pretty that simple. And why are diets failing us? Because it's now been proven that the whole concept of lowering calories, counting calories, restricting calories to lose weight is out the window. These researchers who did these new studies, it's not a diet. They're the top researchers in weight loss in the entire world for 38 years. They analyzed pretty much every diet you could ever name. And what did they find? People lost weight on any diet. But it was always unhealthy. It was always the wrong kind of weight. You can see it right there. You have an opportunity to go and look at the research right there. It's the New Health Conversation. Go there. See for yourself. Who else is showing you that? Because, see, opinions, clinical papers, scientific papers, this doesn't matter in the medical world. I know, because for 20 years, I had nothing to back. I had wonderful before and afters and stories. Those don't mean anything in the medical world. The only thing the medical world cares about is what? Peer-reviewed human trial studies. That's why no drug ever gets approved without a peer-reviewed human trial study. And even and for those who don't know why is a peer-reviewed study so important? Because when you submit your experiment or your data to these big medical journals, they decide if they're going to publish it. They don't review it. They don't. They send it out to other world-class experts, medical doctors, scientists, etc., whose only job is to discredit what you're claiming. That's why no drug ever gets approved without a peer-reviewed human trial study. I mean, I always tell people this. Our main job at the New Health Conversation, not to convince you, it's to give you an option. Because right now, what's your option? There's really nice people. I see them on social media. I think they mean well. But now we're down to the point where we can't just go with a personality or a sports figure or a celebrity. Not with 80% of America overweight and 50% are obese. I mean, I can't tell you what I would have given to have been, in those days, it would have been a phone call, to at least have been made aware of this from my mom. I promise you, she did about every diet that there was. I mean, she did. And I miss her a lot. She was wonderful. I mean, she was late 60s when she died. Died of obesity. I believe she dieted herself to death. And there's so many people today that are going on social media, typing in weight loss, fast weight loss, rapid weight loss, safe, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, what are all these influences telling people? The only way to lose weight is calorie deficit. Nonsense. Not when people like from Harvard Medical School, when they say this article that they wrote called Stop Counting Calories. This isn't Peter Greenlaw's opinion. This is, look, so you don't think I'm making it up. Hopefully you can read it. Harvard, you see Harvard Publishing, but it's Harvard Medical School. And what did they say? This is their terminology, not mine. The idea of a calorie in and a calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist at Harvard Medical School. She goes on to say, drop the calories notion, said Stanford. It's time to take a different approach, putting the emphasis on what's in the calorie, not how many calories we're consuming. Again, I guess you can believe any of these people that are telling you, well, the only way to lose weight is calorie deficit. Well, where are their credentials? What credentials do they have? What opinions are they giving you? What medical backing do they now have to prove that? Yes, here's the thing. You can lose weight on any diet out there. You can lose weight on the Dunkin' Donut diets. I like Dunkin' Donuts. It's not an extreme example, and it really is true. But again, You have the option to go to see the medical proof. If you go to what I'm showing you on the screen, we're not going to contact you. We don't need to do that. The idea is to let you see the proof with no hype. There's no one on there. There's no celebrity endorsements, nothing. You can go to that site and you can see the proof. And if you like what you see, here's the other part. You can sign up for a free consultation. The new people coming on, this is what we're discussing, and we're proving that diets don't work. It's not your fault. What you're doing is, as a matter of fact, if you're going on a diet to lower calories, you're doing two of the most unhealthy things you could ever do to yourself. Yes, sad to say that. Because on every diet, these are all medical proof. That's about 40% of what you lose on any diet is your lean muscle mass. And when you lose lean muscle mass, two of the most unhealthy things happen to you. One, your body doesn't have a choice. It slows down your metabolism because there's not enough fuel. Turning your muscles into fuel is really inefficient. But the other thing that frightens us more, now we know, that when you lose lean muscle mass, you also inhibit the function of your own immune system. This is beyond like celebrity endorsements now. This is beyond like fitting in your skinny jeans. Listen, the CDC came out, this is the CDC, not me, said 92% of the American population, that means 92% of you, are metabolic unhealthy with 3 of 5 factors: overweight, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high cholesterol, or high triglycerides. Well, in these new studies, for the new people, this is not a diet. This is new studies that came out in the last year after 38 years of research. Let me give you the parameters. No one allowed to exercise, men and women, and yet they lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet. They lost as much weight in 30 days as a year in any diet, and instead of losing any lean muscle, they gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass, not being allowed to exercise. But that wasn't the big deal. Here was the big deal. In 30 days, remember those 5 factors I talked about? Weight, blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides, all came down dramatically just in 30 days. Hunger came down 41% in 30 days. Now you might ask yourself, if you haven't, I can't believe anybody hasn't asked me already, okay, what did they do? Okay, I'm going to explain that to you now. So these researchers, let me give you the background. For 38 years, they analyzed every diet that we would know by name. In every case, people lost weight. In every case, the majority of what people lost, well, 40% was, not the majority, but 40% was lean muscle mass. And after the people stopped the diet, they all gained back at least as much or more than they'd ever lost before. So the one thing they realized that what they were doing to people by lowering the amount of food they were consuming, they were getting less nutrition. That's what was triggering the response for the body to convert, to survive, to eat muscle first. Okay? So I said, wait a minute, we got to do this. This isn't going to be about lowering. We got to figure out the only thing the body cares about if it's going to work efficiently is nutrition. So what they did in these studies, they created a grocery list where only 40% of the food that people were allowed to consume came from the grocery store, like your local grocery store. But the other 60% literally came from all over the world, from Russia, Mongolia, Manchuria, from Tibet and the Himalayas, from New Zealand and South America. Now, why was that important? Because the food in this country, whether you know it or not, is becoming more and more nutritionally deficient. And what you're doing, what you think you're hungry for calories, no, it has nothing to do with calories. The new people coming on, this is what we're discussing. We're discussing why diets are failing us, but we're showing you these new protocols. 7 peer-reviewed human trial studies after 38 years of research. My gosh, men and women with no exercise lost as much weight in a week as 8 weeks of any diet. They lost as much weight in 30 days as a year on any diet and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. So I was just explaining now, what did they do? How did they do it? Well, they only let the people consume about 40% of the food from the grocery store, and the other 5 foods went from around the world because they needed to make sure that the body had enough nutrition, not enough calories. And then, so the ingredients were 40% from the grocery store, 60% from around the world, and then they had 2 completely new ways of consuming. One is called protein pacing, and the other one is called intermittent nutritional fasting, not fasting. Not time-restricted eating. I mean, ladies, can you imagine on average with no exercise, women lose a whole dress size in 7 days? It's normal all the time. And if you go to that site, you'll see the medical proof. You'll see an interview with the #1 nutritional researcher in the world. You'll see before and afters that I can't show you on TikTok or they would ban me. I'm not kidding you. You go and see the men and women that lost unbelievable amounts of weight. They have no loose skin. They had no surgery. There's nothing. The hardest thing I have to do is to just tell people, look, you can go to the, I'll put the site up there again. As people will, there it is at the top. You can see, well, it keeps falling down. You can go, this is a research library, basically. The New Health Conversation. And you can go there for free. There's no celebrities on there. It's just the pure scientific proof, an interview with the #1 nutritional researcher in the world, his team, for more than 38 years, and there's a walkthrough of what I just explained to you. So let's review again. What was so important what was so different about this particular new approach called R2M, stands for race to maintenance, by the way. Okay, because the whole key is to get people to go and then teach them how to. Do you know we have people who want to do this to gain weight? We have kids as young as 2, and grandma's 90. And the reason we want you to go and see the proof first, no hype there. Then you can sign up for a free consultation if you want. Free. No gimmicks, no tricks, no 800 number person twist. We don't need to do that. We're giving you the real science. If you believe in, aren't you a little bit curious? No one's even put it in the comments about, wait a minute, how they lost how much? Well, it's not an opinion. This is in the public record. These studies were published in, I'll read them to you. The Obesity Journal, the Nutrition Journal, Frontiers in Nutrition, Frontiers in Physiology, Nutrients, International Journal of Environmental Research. And this journal, Nature, is the #1 medical journal in the world. No other diet stuff. They don't have this. Now, granted, this took a long, long time. But if you're at least curious, why wouldn't you go there and check it out? Because you're skeptical. I get it. I'm doing 4 or 5 of these podcasts a day. I get it. But I'll tell you this, when people are going to that library and seeing the proof, and they're signing up for a free consultation, I'd say almost 98% of them end up, they want to do what they did in the medical studies. And that's what's now possible. That's what we teach people how to do. But if you go and do a free consultation, there's no obligation. I see people on social media, and they want to charge you for their diet before you even know what the hell. But this is not a diet, pardon my French. This, I think, is so important. You know what the medical researchers are saying now? The biggest threat in the history of mankind is obesity. And we're at 50% in the United States. Now, lest you think it's just an American problem, how about this? This is the Lancet, the #1 medical journal in the world. And here's a study they just completed in March 19th of this year, of 2024, right? They said more than 1 billion people worldwide are now clinically obese, making obesity the leading form of malnutrition. What? They went on to say most people are not aware that obesity and being underweight are both forms of malnutrition, because in both cases the people are not getting the right amounts of vitamins, minerals, nutrients, and the types of calories that are required to be healthy. That's exactly what these researchers set out to do, was to find, couldn't find it in the United States, was to find foods that contain the vitamins, minerals, nutrients, and the types of calories you need to be healthy. The main reason to do this is not to lose weight and fit in your skinny jeans. That's a given. Because in the first 30 days, people's blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides all came down dramatically in 30 days. Hunger came down 41% in 30 days. See, when you're hungry, you're not hungry for calories. Get that out of your mind. If we taught you anything when you do this, don't even think about it. The calories don't mean, calories is just a measurement. It's the amount of heat it takes to raise a gram of water 1 degree Celsius. It's nothing more, nothing less. Again, for the new people coming on, this is what we're discussing. Why diets are failing us, because they are. Unless you think that we're successful when 80% of the American population is overweight and 50% are obese and 50% are pre-diabetic. That's why the medical experts are saying this is a catastrophe. This is a complete and utter catastrophe. The one thing I will tell you about the research site, there's no hype there. It's just it's the medical proof. And I'm always careful. I don't want to be disparaging anybody. But all these other, from medical doctors to chiropractors to dietitians to nutritionists to naturopaths to weight loss coaches to fitness trainers, I haven't seen one of them ever hold up one shred of medical evidence. They give you opinions. And what's their opinion? We're going to show you 3 recipes to lose weight. He cut 300 calories to lose weight. Well, how's that working for us? Does everyone kind of sort of get this? Look, can anybody put in the chat a diet that's not some form of lowering calories? And if you think, you're certainly welcome to your opinion, but honestly, with no kidding around, if you don't think we're in a crisis with 80% with more than a billion people worldwide clinically obese, making obesity the leading form of malnutrition, obese people are malnourished. Well, they're saying I'm making obesity the leading form of malnutrition worldwide. Does that make any sense? Whoops. Hold on. I get too excited sometimes. I knock my earphones out. There we go. Anyway, I mean, does it make any sense to any of you that obesity is now the leading form of malnutrition worldwide? So do you see the whole argument with calories, how it goes out the door? But let's just concentrate on that for a moment. Let's just say we settled on 1,500 calories a day to lose weight, because that's kind of what they're telling you, right? All right, if that's the case, on the right door, the diet is, let's call it a diet, lean chicken, fish, salads, etc. Okay, that's 50, and it's 1,500 calories exactly. Find door. If it only matters, it only matters what is in the, what's available. So the point is that the 1,500 calories behind the other door is 3 bags of M&Ms. Does that make sense? So anyway, in closing, I would ask you to take your time, and you can go to the site if you want, the New Health Conversation, and see for yourself. And if you like what you see, you can sign up for a free consultation. I don't know how to make it any fairer than that. Okay? So I want to wish all of you a good evening and hopefully a good week, and we'll go from there. And you can still see it up there. You can go there at any moment and sign up for a free consultation if you want. Okay? Thanks, everyone.